Hello everyone, my name is Virginia Anastasova and I'm a member of the Aecospace team. In today's video we will look at topic number 8 of our SketchUp video series, and this is the topic visualization with VRay for SketchUp and Twinmotion. In the last video of the course we created scenes and set up the camera for them. Then we get acquainted with the next step in creating a project, and this is the visualization. I will show you the main phases in the visualization, such as adjusting the lights, applying materials, and rendering. We will look at two ways, and I want to clarify in advance that there is no better or worse. You have to decide for yourself which way will be more convenient for you to work so that you get the desired result. My goal is to show you the basic principles and functions of both VRay for SketchUp and Twinmotion with a sample scene and then rendering. Let's begin. We start with VRay for SketchUp. First, I want to mention that Aecospace is an official distributor of the product. On our site, you can get acquainted in detail with the product and its functionality. When you click on the Learn button, you could watch different videos on the topic. You could also try the product with the free 30-day version. What is VRay? There is a large set of software for which there is a VRay product. One of them, fortunately, is SketchUp, and today we will look at this type of VRay. VRay is a plugin or an extension in SketchUp with which you can create photorealistic visualizations. It is in the form of 4 tabs, similar to most of the tools in SketchUp. What is the VRay interface for SketchUp? Each of the tabs is different and has a specific function. The first tab, VRay for SketchUp, is the main. It controls the entire VRay. The first icon is the Asset Editor option, which we will look later. There is also an innovation in the tab in the latest version of VRay, and that is the interactive library House Cosmos. House Cosmos make it easy to add great 3D content to your VRay projects with a library of ready models organized into several categories. This is the 3D warehouse of VRay. The library is extremely detailed and with an incredible quality of the 3D objects, which are ready for direct placement and do not need to be processed by adding textures and materials. The second tab is VRay Utilities. It is optional and can be used to add textures or remove them. The third tab is Lights and is related to the lights and their setting in the scene. The fourth tab is VRay Objects. It is characterized by the creation of proxy objects or, in general, a function that simplifies the volume and make it more generalized and less detailed. Now, let's take a look at the Asset Editor function. From here, most of the options in VRay are controlled. The main window appears, which can be expanded left and right through the sliders to the side. What does it consist of? I start with the first option, and it is for placing materials. VRay has a ready-made library with a variety of materials in many categories: stone, wood, glass, and more. These materials are from VRay, but you could also create your own designs. Any material here in VRay can be completed with these features. Diffuse. Here we have a basic map of the material and we can see what it looks like. Color. An option for changing the color of the material. Reflection. From here, shine, gloss and reflection of the material can be transmitted. Refraction. It is used to refract the light. Opacity sets the level of transparency. And bump, the place where the textures are, which gives relief to the material, or in other words, the volume of the material. We move on the next function of Asset Editor, and it is related to lights. Here, as you can see, there is a default light. This is the sun in SketchUp. Different types of light sources can be created and each type will be arranged in this center panel. Now I will add an artificial light source with the tool rectangle light. I will do this to get better lighting on my scene, as I will do a day render. The arrow shows the direction of illumination. I need the lighting to be on the room, but I will adjust that later. The next option in the Asset Editor is related to the general scene settings. The first menu is Render. Here there are several categories. First, I have the engine function. With it, the render is calculated. CPU is the calculation with the processing power of our computer. CUDA and RTX is a calculation with the graphic processor or with your video card. Then we have the interactive button, which helps to turn on the interactive render. This option helps to change and control the scene. Next is the category of interactivity, which is good to set at a high level. There is an interesting category here called denoiser. This is the option to quickly get a render preview. All you have to do is to choose your computer's graphic card. The next menu is Camera. Here you can make various scene settings such as exposure, level adjustment, white balance, and others. I move to the other menu, Render Output, used to set the render resolution. My recommendation for test renderings is to set between 800 and 1000 pixels. The next menus are Animation, Environment, Material Override, and Swarm. I continue with the last icons up here in the Asset Editor. These are the Interactive Render and Frame Buffer. What is Frame Buffer? This is an additional window in which the scene itself is visible and it can be adjusted such as color and intensity. From here we can save the scenes. We can only render a certain area using this rectangle, and only that part of the scene will be rendered. Also, additional layers can be added, and these are the options for post-processing the render. Let me start by preparing my render. I start by setting the lights for my day render. I already mentioned I have a default light set in SketchUp, and this is the sunlight that can be adjusted as intensity. In the menu parameters, I have a custom orientation category where I can adjust the angle at which sunlight falls and the orientation of the sun relative to the directions of the world. Also, I can adjust the color of the sun from color, its intensity and size from size multiplier, which determines the smoothness of the shadow. Let me return, however, to the artificial light sources. This type of source can always be added to enhance daylight. I recently created such a source with the rectangle light tool. I have already mentioned that the direction of the arrow indicates the direction of illumination of the object. I position my light source in front of the window and enter the scene. From the settings, I can change the light intensity. It is important to choose a specific characteristic of the light source. It is for it to be invisible. I can do this from the menu options, and I have to click on the invisible checkbox. With this option, I hide the light source. Now I'm going to include an interactive render. As you can see, the light is too low. I will adjust it from the settings to increase it. I set the intensity to 50 and adjust the exposure and highlight burn options. I adjust the scene as I like. I can also control the contrast of the scene. I will turn off the render for now. I adjusted the light and it's time to apply some materials. How can I do this? In the main panel Asset Editor, click on Materials. I want to put material on the wardrobe. I choose a category Wood and you can see how rich a set of materials there are in the library. I select a material and with a right click I set the option Add to the scene to add it to the scene. On the right we get a preview of the material. However, how can I now apply this material to an object of my choice? I select the part on which the material will be added, and with the right button on the material in the control panel, I click on Apply to Selection. You can see that I already have a material applied in a zone. I can change the material from the default tray of SketchUp by adjusting the size from the menu Edit. I will do it 500 millimeters. Now I want to add material to the bed to match the color of the wardrobe. However, I would also like to put some type of fabric material or material that is used for textiles. I select my object, choose material and apply it. Finally, let's see how this scene with already placed components will go through the rendering process. I turn on interactive rendering and adjust the intensity of the picture. The calculation begins, as you can see. Rendering always takes time, but in the case of the denoiser option, for a quick preview, you can see what the scene will look like. This is my sample VRay render for SketchUp, through which I showed you the basic principles of rendering and what you need to pay attention to get the desired result. You can always add more light, reflection to certain areas, and make the scene look even more photorealistic. Now let's look at the second visualization way which I want to show you, and that is Twinmotion software. Ecospace is an official distributor of this software. You can get acquainted in detail with Twinmotion on our website. You can try the free 30-day version as well as watch videos related to the software. In addition, in our YouTube channel, we have short videos, tips and tricks on a different topic related with Twinmotion. I will leave a link in the description below this video to watch them if you are interested. What is Twinmotion? Twinmotion is software through which you can visualize real-time. It includes the main components in the visualization, such as a library with a wide range of materials and textures, lighting, different types of setting for better results and 3D objects, change of time and seasons, and more. Let me introduce you a little to the software interface. I start with the navigation bar with the commands you see at the top. This is an innovation in the latest version of Twinmotion. It is extremely convenient and easy for anyone who opens this software for the first time. Then, on the right side of the screen, we have the option to see the scene in full screen, which is very convenient because this way you can view your objects in detail. I continue with the eye icon, which includes various settings such as time of the day or setting the time, speed or the speed of movement around the scene. Speed is divided into several types: plane, drive, bicycle and walk. They are arranged from top to bottom according to the degree of speed. The fastest is the airplane mode and the slowest is the walking mode. The next option is screenshot. Then we have pedestrian mode, continue with the option VR, or the ability to view your project through virtual reality. The next option is views, or the different views of the object. Then we have the option clipping and navigation bar. From here you can turn on or turn off the navigation bar. The next icon is related to an additional panel on the right of the screen, in which the individual components of the scene are arranged in the so-called containers. I go to the other side of the screen and the burger menu. It contains the individual features that most software has. From here you can save the file, open a new one, import a file. From the menu preferences, you can change the quality of the image. Let's take a look at the menus here in the left corner of the screen. The first option is to import a file. The next option, context, is related with additional options for setting up green areas, creating paths for cars, people. Then we have the settings menu, which includes several settings. The first is location. It can change the time, month, direction, and background. The next category is weather. Here you can change the seasons and add additional effects such as wind speed, direction, adding a smoke effect. We continue with the lighting category, where you can adjust the light intensity and add a shadow. In the menu settings, we have sun intensity, degree of reflection of the sun, degree of intensity of celestial stars, if you do any night render, for example. Then there is the camera category, where there are the features FOV, which is the shooting angle, DOF is used when focusing on close objects, and parallelism, which balances the angles. Finally, we can add visual effects. The next category is media, where images and videos are created. The last directory is related to the export of the content you have created. Let's take a look at the Twinmotion's library. It is organized into categories including materials, vegetations, lights, characters, vehicles. Here is the place to mention an innovation in the latest version of Twinmotion, and that is Quixel Megascans. What is Quixel Megascans? Quixel Megascans is the largest library of 3D models and materials worldwide. For Twinmotion users, the library is free for easier browsing and access. What does the library consist of? It consists of two main categories: 3D assets, or which are 3D objects divided in different directions, and surface, or which are the materials that are also divided in different directions. Now I will choose a category, for example 3D assets, and here you see the individual directions. When you select an object, you need to click on the download icon to download the object. Also, what you need to know is that here in Twinmotion is integrated a part of the library, and if you do not have enough, you can download what you need directly from the Quixel website. Now I start with the preparation of my scene, which you already know because I recently visualized it in VRay. However, to get started, I first need to import the file I need. How do I do that? I will use a very interesting Twinmotion option, and this is the direct link to SketchUp. This is a SketchUp plugin that transfers your file directly from SketchUp to Twinmotion. You can download the plugin from the Twinmotion website, and you need to select the software as it is available for other types of software, not only for SketchUp. In this case, I have already downloaded this plugin in advance, and of course I choose SketchUp. When you open SketchUp, this tab will appear. If you do not see in the front of your screen, you can turn it on with the right button. You already know this method of turning various tabs on and off. From this pictogram with the eye, the file is transferred directly with one click. How does this work? You save the file in advance and press the I. The synchronization between SketchUp and Twinmotion starts. When it completes successfully, the file is transferred to the rendering software. As you can see, we already have an imported file and I can start shaping my scene. I start by adding lights. I go to the library and choose the light category. I will use Spotlight, and by click and drop, apply it in my scene. I adjust it in a way that I like, how bright it should be, how to light it. Here is an interesting option, Haze, which is used to add the effect of steam if you visualize a bathroom, for example. Now I would like to add some materials. I go to the library and choose Materials. I will choose this one. I apply it with click and drop, and I can see it. I can change the color, do it with reflection too. In general, the options are extremely many and various. Now, I will add material to the wardrobe and the bed in the same way. I can also add some type of decoration. I go to the library again and choose the category Object. Now let me set up my scene for shooting. In the menu Media, I create an image and click on More. From here, I will choose the weather. In the menu Camera, I will balance the angles of the image with the option Parallelism. In the menu Format, I will choose the format 4K. There is others, but I prefer this type of format. And before I export my scene, I have to change the quality of the image. I go to the burger menu and from Preferences choose Ultra Quality. I go to the menu Export and choose the directory of my file. You see my sample render. With Twinmotion, you can quickly visualize your scenes. This was today's video on the topic of visualization with VRay for SketchUp and Twinmotion. Thank you for your attention. I hope the video was useful, and I will be waiting for you in the next one, which will be on the topic Style Builder and Layout. Follow us on the social media for more useful content.